welcome to the channel. This is Gabrand. I hope you're doing good. Today we're going to be talking about something that drives me up the wall. I'm seeing this happening with a number of my friends right now, where employers are taking advantage of their employees through a promise of a performance bonus. This drives me up the wall. So that's something I definitely want to get into. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. It's really important for you guys to know that everything I'm talking about in my videos is always going to be my personal opinion on everything. It's the way I see things. It's what I see everywhere. That being said, if you guys agree or disagree, doesn't matter. You guys can always leave a comment. Just go down to the comment section, leave a comment there, and watch the video through if you guys can. If you guys like what I'm doing, please hit that thumbs up button, because it really does help the channel. If you guys want to see more of the stuff I actually make, you can always subscribe to the channel. But more importantly, I will be doing a lot of live streams later on in the future. And in order for you guys to get a hold of me, I guess, on live streams, the best way to do that is making sure you hit that notification bell. And then that way you know when I'm actually uploading a video. That being said, let's get back to the video. All right. With all that being said, let's talk a little bit about bonuses and how this works in a employee and employer scenario. If you are the employee, I am the employer, I simply come out to you and say, listen, there's an incentive in this for you. I'm going to want you to, work hard, do the best you can, put some real effort into what you're doing, and hence that's going to reflect upon the kind of bonus you're going to get at the end of the quarter or at the end of the year. And what you're going to do as an employee is you're going to say, I'll take the bonus. Any money is better than no money. Hence, of course, you're going to do what I'm asking you to do, assuming you want the money. More often than not, people want the money. So there's that. What really bothers me, though, is more often than not, what ends up happening is that bonus does not in any way equal the amount of effort that the employee has to do, the amount of effort that the employee will put in. And I am very curious about all of you. If you are working in an environment where, or in a workplace where a performance bonus is something that is being offered to you, how many of you actually have this, make it make sense, I guess, and have it worthwhile for you? Let me talk about this. I actually see a lot of people doing this. They go to work, they, their bosses come up to them and say, look, there's a performance bonus coming up at the end of the year. I highly recommend you guys just push a little bit harder. You haven't been maybe on the ball or whatever. What really bothers me is that what they're asking you to do is things that is above and beyond your hours of work, your basically agreed upon job. And instead of hiring someone else, they're going to get a bunch of different employees to say, hey, go out and do this. Typically, it's going to be one employee or two employees. It could be the management, or it could be someone else. But the problem is, the whole problem here is that bonus is not relevant to them just giving you a bonus for you doing a good job, but rather it's an incentive for you to try and do more than what your job actually entails. What your agreed upon, I guess, employment agreement is. And this is something I'm seeing running around right now. I'm seeing this everywhere. It's an issue that I've seen come up constantly. I've talked to my friends, and I talked to a lot of people who I know very well, and it's a constant thing. People are getting disappointed with, I put in almost 80 hours just of extra work, and I got a lousy $200 bonus, thanks a lot, for basically as a good job. But the $200 for the 80 hours doesn't actually quite match up. On top of it, it would have actually been a lot more by a wide margin if they paid for the overtime that was required. Even worse, a lot of people don't realize that when you go out of your way to do all these extra little things for the company, a lot of these things become expected of you. Unfortunately, this is a very negative side effect, but it's also a lot of things that a lot of companies do depend on. If they can get you to do something enough times, you're going to start feeling like it is part of your job. Hence, it's no longer part of your performance bonus, it's just expected. That drives me up the wall. And it's the only reason any employee does all these things and does all that extra work and goes above and beyond what their job description is because there's always a subtle promise of a higher amount than you typically get. I think that's horrible. I think that's wrong. And I'd love to hear your stories, by the way. Please leave it in the comment section. And if any of you guys have good stories, please leave those in the comment section too, because I do want to hear, the employees that are being treated fairly for the extra work, but I get the feeling there's going to be a lot more horror stories from you guys just saying, look, man, I worked this many hours, I put in this much effort, I stayed late, I had to come in the middle of the night, whatever it may be. And the amount of time that you put it aside for helping out that company, that employer, simply does not, it just doesn't add up to the tiny little bonus that you got. These are the kind of things that bother me, because as corporations, as companies, they make money by literally stealing from their employees. And this is a common trend. It's nothing new. It's not something that I'm just coming up with. It happens a lot. I will tell you something. The interesting part to me, I find, is a lot of times these incentives are being sold right at the point where you go in for your interview. You go in for your interview, there's always the one thing I hear, and I tell people, if you hear the word incentive bonuses, walk out of the interview. If there's an incentive bonus, it shouldn't be talked about. That's where the company, the employer, should just hand you the bonus if they feel like they want to give out a bonus. If they're going to try and sell you on that bonus as part of the employment, it just means that they're using that in a way to cut your wage right off the bat, your starting wage or your secured wage. Remember, a bonus is something you cannot rely on. What I tell a lot of my friends, essentially do the one smart thing you can. If you sit down at a desk and you're in an interview and somebody comes up to you and says, okay, listen, this is the job, this is what you need to do. So they give you a clear-ish, precise, hopefully very precise, but more often than not, it's not. But they give you a good job description of what your job is, what your task will be. And they say, this is what you have to do, and this is the wage, the starting wage you're gonna have. So you're gonna agree to that starting wage. But what they're gonna say to you is, of course, if you work hard and you do your things and you do everything right, and you be a team player and work hard and maybe stay extra here and there, operational needs, of course there's a performance bonus. If you ever run into that scenario, just simply do what I tell everybody to do and say, okay, I do not believe in bonuses, because bonuses are not something I can rely on in my everyday budgeting and everyday life. Is there a way that we can remove the bonus and just you pay me a higher wage that I can count on? Essentially, I'm not doing my job. Yes, you can always get rid of me, but I just don't want to be doing, I do not want to put myself in a position where I am reliant on that particular bonus. And especially if you think that your starting wage is already too low, then I would bring that up, add another $1 at least to your starting wage. That equates out to about $160 minus taxes per month that you can actually just kind of, more or less have in your pocket. If you're looking at it in that sense, you actually have a good benefit, a good, solid, you're not reliant anymore on that bonus, because that bonus is heavily dependent on how much extra work you are willing to do for that company outside of your working hours, sometimes even during your work hours, which has nothing to do with your job description. Essentially, if you go for an interview and you hear the words incentive bonus or performance bonus, that typically is just somebody's way of saying, I'm going to be pushing you way beyond what we agreed upon at this time, and I'll decide whether or not you did anything. You also find that more often than not, there's companies that talk about, they don't want you to talk to your coworkers about your wage or your bonus. It's a kind of a scummy way of doing business, because all that means is that there's no transparency, right? So you have no way of knowing if there's favoritism. Let's say the management from a corporate gets a certain amount to distribute as bonus for, to the rest of the employees based upon those, the performance, right? Whatever's remaining, or a certain amount, once that's handed out, they can keep an X amount from whatever is not handed out. That automatically causes a lot of problems. But let's say it's not that bad. Let's talk about something as simple as you working outside of your working hours, which should be considered overtime. You coming in early, which again is not a requirement. If you are hired from 9 to 5 as an example, that means that you are supposed to be doing your job from 9 to 5 operational needs have to be met, but the operational needs have to also be paid. A lot of people will, a lot of companies will also not pay you for overtime or, you know, for those operational needs, but they'll give you an extra day off, a paid day off. That's something that you have to decide if you like as an option. I always say take the money that you can, because days off you can always figure it out. You have vacation pays and so forth and so on. Salary is also one of those things where you have to understand that your operational needs are not dependent on, well, it's not my problem, right? As an employee, that's not my problem. You have to understand your operational needs as a business, and you have to, well, account for it. Having me do your work essentially is not the way to do it. Realistically speaking, if any job, any employer is coming to you with a performance or typically it's a performance bonus, but if they come to you trying to sell you that job by having a performance bonus or any sort of bonus as part of their sales pitch, I would say get the heck out of there. It's just not worth it, honestly. If you really need the job, I guess get the job and start looking for another one the next day. Ultimately, any company that goes down the path of using a bonus as an incentive for you to work extra hours above and beyond what you agreed to, and it's not part of your wage, then it's just not worth it. Ultimately, you will end up working longer hours, put in more work, more often than not do things that have nothing to do with your job description, and it's just simply not going to be worth your bonus. I'm not saying this is for every company out there. I would do my research with any company you go into, but it's just a scummy way of doing business, and a lot of companies are doing exactly that. That being said, please feel free to comment in the comment section and let me know if you agree with any of this. If you do have good experiences, let people know, so everybody has a different perspective. This is my opinion. This is something that I see happening consistently, but it doesn't mean that it's like this everywhere else. There are companies out there who really do treat their employees correctly when it comes to performance bonus or any sort of bonus for that matter. But in my experience, I have not seen any company really doing that for any other reason aside from saving themselves a ton of money, getting free labor, or pretty much, I guess the bonus equals out to be ridiculously less than the minimum wage for the amount of work that you put in. Hence, it's really a gain from the company, not for you as the employee. Let me know. Let me know in the comment section. I really would love to see, I'd love to read your stories out there. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Till then, well, live your life. Live the best possible life you can. Take it easy. Bye.